Welcome everybody to another episode of the Dragonus Podcastus. I am your host, Deadponic, and with me is the lovely Queen Byron. Without her, none of this would be possible. Also, we have our new YouTube channel. Yay!
Very exciting.
Yes, very exciting. And also, thanks to Byron's efforts, we now have our own Discord server as well. I'm still working on the Patreon thing, but I've been kind of busy with personal stuff. But um, after this episode, the episode afterwards is gonna be another role playing session, which is gonna be exciting. Um, yeah, it's gonna be fun. So today we're gonna do another Sisters of Valkyria episode, but we're gonna focus more on their battle rituals, their customs, things they do in the everyday. So, as previously talked about, as previously mentioned before, the Sisters of Valkyria are the second bodyguard force that specifically protects the queen and any daughters, but they can also be assigned to protect the sons and the king if need be. But what sets them apart from the Solaris Knights is their armor, their weaponry, and their battle customs. The process to actually become a sister is easier than becoming a Solaris Knight. It's not as invasive and taxing on the body, but it is considered somewhat odd. So we'll start with the induction ceremony. So when a sister inductee is swears to serve the royal family, but above all, the Great Mother of Valkyria, the sister in question is garbed in simple attire, nothing revealing, but not to the point where she is naked. That would not serve her. That doesn't serve a purpose. A priestess will instruct the sister to approach a dais. The priestess will then paint a rune of wisdom upon the sister's forehead and begin chanting in High Valkyric. And the chant roughly translates into, "O great mother of light, let this sister be blessed with your great wisdom and grant her strength beyond strength." So then a great beam of light will appear around the sister, and it is said that her mind will be transported to Valhalla, where she will actually see Valkyria, but not be able to speak. Valkyria then touches the sister's head, and her mind is transported back to the real world, and they rise as a fully fledged sister. And now they're not purified, but they're given a new purpose. And the second thing that happens is that the sister in question will be branded on the arms and the back, and they go through weeks to about a month of physical and spiritual training to prepare for this. Yeah, they're branded with a sword on the right arm and a spear on the left, and then they're branded with marked wings on the back. They're usually painted over so that when the branding takes place, it doesn't, like, it's not aligned. And this is important later. In times of great need, a sister can call upon the great powers of light, and they grow wings. Their armor changes to match, and is often described as seeing an angel descending from the sky in a great beam of light. The aura that this creates is enough to send any creature of shadow or evil fleeing. Even death rates are afraid of this. The powers that can be called upon include, but are not limited to, healing, minor resurrection, spears of pure holy energy, a shield of pure light that can stop almost anything, complete and total disintegration, but only on beings of evil or who have committed evil deeds, the power to eliminate total darkness or darkness created by evil, flight, obviously. They can summon weapons of pure light that can destroy beings of evil, an omnidirectional sense that detects evil and basically makes it impossible for them to be ambushed. And this stays with them even after exiting this form. That is the rite of induction. So now for the rite of ascendance. The marking on the back is there because when a sister is deemed ready, or if they passed on to the afterlife, they will sprout angelic wings. And when the time of great descendance comes, Valhalla opens a portal into the material plane, and Valkyria and all of her children will descend and answer a sister or even a regular soldier's prayer for help. And they come and they bless the fallen, and they take the spirits with them back to Valhalla, and they will aid an army that asks for their assistance in times of great need. But the main ritual or battle custom that I want to talk about is the battle ritual. When the sisters declare they are going into battle, specifically going to war, they will gather and paint battle paint on their faces, specifically a yellow and red streak across their eyes and a black section that divides the lower lip. Do you know the Queen of Naboo from Star Wars?
I think I recall.
Yeah,
Go on.
that makeup that she wears, there's like a red thing that splits her lip. That's called the Scar of Remembrance. Well, that's kind of where I got that from. But this is just more like we're going into battle. There's a very good chance that we're gonna die, but if not, we're gonna come out of this alive. We're gonna be kind of hardened by this.
Mm-hmm.
And then a group of priestesses will carry censers which will bless their weapons in Athelas or King's Foil, and they chant in High Valkyric. And often before charging into battle, the lead sister will often shout. Again, this is a reference to the 300 movie, and I think it's pretty fun. They will often shout, "Sisters, what is your profession?" And they start a battle chant, which sounds like they're owls.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Which is strange. But sisters only go to war for two reasons. If they're commanded to by the king, and if they have approval from Valkyria. And the other is to avenge a fallen comrade who is slain dishonorably. Eye for an eye. Believe it or not, the sisters actually had their own version of Thermopylae. 500 sisters and assorted soldiers in support against 10,000. And if you listen very closely, you could hear Gerard Butler shouting, "This is Sparta." The Charians were attacking a MASH unit, specifically the 4077s. Fun reference. But so Colonel Potter ordered a bug out.
It's coming straight at us. Bug out! All personnel, bug out!
But the sisters stayed behind so that they could actually bug out to their secondary location. And here's another 300 moment coming up. The Charian leader shouted, "Women of Tor, surrender your weapons." A spear flies through the sky and strikes and kills the Charian leader. And the response? Charians, come and get them.
Spartans! Lay down your weapons! Persians! Come and get them!
So, after about an hour of fighting, the sisters were whittled down to only about 100, but they knew no fear. They had passed that point of fear, and they knew no fear of death, for they knew that they would go up to Valhalla. In fact, much like the actual Spartans in the actual story, they were preparing their bodies for death and were prepared to fight like rabid animals until the very last woman. The Charian general who received news of this took this news out of context, believing that the sisters were engaging in intimate activities, not realizing the significance of what they were doing because he never bothered to do his research. And then when the final assault came, the contingent of sisters was wiped out. But for every sister that died, 500 Charians went down with them. And when the 4077 came back to that main location, and they saw the dead sisters, they made sure to give them proper burials. And there was actually a section of their camp that is dedicated specifically to the sisters, and they often have a guard who often guards that particular grave site, specifically so that it's not desecrated. The battle was a moral victory. But they had held off a force of 10,000 Charians as a result. And thanks to this, Tor was able to summon his army and march on shore. And thus, it is believed that the Charians feared the sisters. And here's another really fun story. So a Tor general and the Char battle leader were exchanging terms. The Charian says, "Think of your people, your women, your children." The Torian replies, "Clearly you do not know of women and children, much less our own." I'm pretty sure that the Torian general at that point was offended by what the Charian said, but he was holding his tongue because he had a sister with him, and she was taking part of the negotiations. And instead of responding with a remark, she simply punched the Charian battle leader and walked out of the tent. Actions speak louder than words. as the Torian general would say. So, and then the final ritual is when a sister is slain or dies of natural causes. This happens fairly often. Their body is specifically prepared, and they are cremated along with their armor and the sister who was there when they passed on sometimes receives a piece of their armor or their weapon as a way to honor them. Kind of like how Aragorn had Boromir's gauntlet when they were giving him his funeral and sending him in the boat. And once that's done, their ashes are placed in a specially prepared urn and placed in the Hall of Warriors in their temple. And there's a special, quote-unquote, dance performed by one of the priestesses that guards their soul as they enter Valhalla. And speaking of the temple, the Sisters' Temple is considered sacred ground by even the clergy, which is the organization of clerics. And any intrusion that is not, pre-authorized is considered sacrilege and needs to be purged immediately, unless the person who wishes to enter goes up to the main gate and prays to Valkyria. And if a man wishes to enter, they must be escorted by a sister at all times, and they are ordered to surrender any weapons and to remove their helmets as a sign of respect. They are actually the ones who set up the shelter in their garden for the royal family in case of emergency. And in that case, their rule about men entering their grounds is wavered, and in the case of the Solaris Knights and the royal family, this rule is automatically wavered no matter what, because Sisters and Solaris Knights often work together. And their temple is protected by powerful magic that keeps even the most powerful of evil beings away. Not even Satan or Saragash would dare to try to enter the temple. Actually, Satan respects this, but occasionally he'll send one of his demon messengers to speak with the sisters regarding a matter in which he would need help. Saragash, on the other hand, respects the barrier because he does not want to invoke the wrath of Valkyria. There's another person whose name I will dare not say. She has tried once or twice to no effect to actually enter the temple. And I don't think I explained this, but now I have to explain why we don't say Maleficent. Basically, the idea is that anybody who says that name will allow her to actually enter the the material plane unhindered. And then we'll have 40,000 years of darkness, dogs and cats living together, all manner of hell is brought upon the world. So, yeah. We that's why you don't say the name. And it's kind of like what happened with Voldemort and how they put like a taboo on it kind of thing. If I remember the book correctly. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's the Sisters' battle customs and rituals. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's amazing to see the sisters fleshed out so much. There's not a lot of strong women characters that are well-rounded in RPGs and mythologies.
Yeah, believe it or not, I wanted to make a faction that wasn't like the Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to give them like not too much agency, but enough agency that they could be like on par with the Solaris Knights, because the Solaris Knights are considered some of the best soldiers. In fact, the best soldiers that Tor has ever produced. But the sisters are more of that kind of religious side of this thing, but they're not fanatics. They're more
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a they respect and worship the Great Mother, and it takes a lot of inspiration from Norse mythology with Valkyries, and I actually I really like Norse mythology. It's very fascinating, and just having like an angel descend, and just like you have like a little child, and she's like afraid. The child's afraid, and then you see like an angel descend, and she's like, "You have nothing to fear, young citizen. Take my hand."
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just like warriors. They're also like healers. They're surprisingly really good medics too, and they're the ones that give last rites, and that they take death very seriously. Yeah. So that's our episode. Next week we're gonna do next episode we're gonna do the role play, and it's gonna be fun. And we're continuing where we left off from the last session, where Clement, Queen Byron's character, was knighted and made a sister and a Solaris Knight, and given the title of Lady. And well, the palace was attacked, unfortunately. So we'll see how that goes. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time.